Good morning, everybody. This is Fundamentals of a Project Management Assignment 1, Initial Project Scope Presentation. My name is Rameson Robert. In this presentation, I'm going to talk to you about the scope of our irrigation system installation for our vanilla plantation in Madagascar. Excuse me. Before I'm going into details of the project, I will give you the business background first. The business background is this simply the integrated Madagascar vanilla supply, new business that we create back in 2016. It is simply to produce a vanilla to industrial scale, growing it to industrial scale, which hasn't been done that way before. Why we embark in this irrigation systems is simply to be able to supply the adequate amount of vanilla, which a consistent production volume from one year to the next, which is we have to eliminate and minimize all the risk that can interfere with our supply capability. Those risks including the prolonged drought, weather unpredictability, disease infection, substandard to poor quality product, and product volume fluctuation. The product volume fluctuation is one of the, based on our experience, this is one of a difficult thing to control on vanilla production. One year we got a very good volume and without any apparent reason. The next year we got only 20% of that. So we believe that the installation of the irrigation system will minimize that possibility of interference. So yeah, the solution that we found is a construction of irrigation systems to the vanilla plantation. Let me give you the goals. The goals on that is just to be able to irrigate the plantation during the drought time and to avoid all of those risks, and especially the physiological damage for the vanilla vine during the prolonged drought. And we want also to improve the vanilla production efficiency around 30%, and this should be done by 2019. And we don't want to increase the current cultivated land already. And we also, a part of the goal for that is to achieve an average yield of 8 to 10 kilograms of green vanilla product per plant per year. And that should be achieved around 2019 as well. So the objective of this irrigation project is planning and designing the construction new irrigation systems for the vanilla lot 1, which is 26 hectares, and lot 2, 16 hectares. And we do want to start May 2019 and expected to finish by December 2019. The estimated cost on that is around 60,000 Australian dollars at Madagascar construction market cost. The allowable budget overrun around 20% or less, and completion schedule delay around 20% or less as well. And the another objective for this irrigation system is planning and designing and construction of 2 large cement water tanks. And another one is planning and design construction of 2 water wells at the valley of the field. This is simply the ground is composed of a valley, very low land, and then up on the hill. So we want to put 2 wells in the valley and a construction of 2 large tank on the top of the hill. And we hope that according to the angle that we got, we have a nice gravity of the water down to the vanilla field. So that is a part of the objective. And then another objective is the installation of 1 high flow electric water pump to each water well. So after we construct those water wells, then we pump the water from that well up to the tank through underground pipeline and pump by high flow electric water pump. And then next, I will give you the project scope description. And the scope of this irrigation system project will consist of work and all work associated with planning and designing and building a new irrigation systems for a vanilla plantation on Lot 1 and Lot 2 by December 2019. And this is include 2 large concrete tank, as I mentioned previously, placed at the top of the vanilla field, and the 2 water wells will be drilled at the lower valley, and the 2 high flow electric pump will selected and installed to each water wells and used to provide water to the hang on, where was it? 2 electric pump will be installed and to each water wells and used to provide the water to the 2 large tanks at the top via underground pipeline. And a high pressure pump will be installed next to those 2 big large tank, and that will provide the water to the vanilla field through a pressure hose and sprinklers. And we want this, all the pipeline must be underground and pump must be in a safe house. So the acceptance criteria will be all large concrete tank must be designed and built to meet the technical specification advised by the expert, and of course that's free of leak and free of cracks and all of that. And all of the hose and pipeline must be laid underground. We don't want it to be shown to the public and see. Everything is happening underground and invisible. And all the pump also must be in a lockable safe house, and the water valve must be lockable and free of leaks and easy to operate as well. And this irrigation systems installation project, the successful completion of this will produce several deliverables. If the following deliverable are not met, the project will not considered as a successful. The project manager, which is myself, will be responsible for ensuring the deliverables are met. So the deliverable number 1, a complete irrigation system design, planning and technical specification and all legal requirement. We believe that and there are a lot of legal requirements that we have to take in place, and the consultation as well with water wells and irrigation system design technician and all of that. And the 2 concrete water tank at the top of the highest ground of the field, and deliverable number 3, then the 2 concrete water wells at the valley. Deliverable number 4 is a fully installed and functional 2 high flow electric water pump for each water wells. Deliverable number 5 is a fully installed and functional underground pipeline connecting water wells to the water tank and water tank to the field. Deliverable number 6 is fully installed safe pump house, all work associated with the planning and designing and constructing the pump house. And deliverable number 7 will be fully installed and a functional water sprinkler across the vanilla field. Excuse me. All work associated with the planning and design and installation of the water sprinkler across the plantation field. Deliverable number 8, fully installed and functional water valve at high pressure and the high pressure water pump next to the 2 water tanks at the top of the hill. And deliverable number 9 will be all work associated with planning and designing and installing the electrical wiring and control associated with all of the deliverable. There is 3 different constraints that we found for this project. For example, the availability of the building materials. We don't really know at this point if the cement providers have a special cement for it. I know that it's fibered cement or something like that, and that is a constraint. And the acquisition of the bank loan, we need only 50% of the of that 60,000 Australian dollars. The half of it is we already ready for that. And the another constraint also is the technical capability of the local builders. We have to consult and to fund if the builders in the ground, local builders have the technical capability actually to design and build the irrigation system that we want to get. And the fourth is a permission to use a private road as a construction site access road. I'm going to a little bit in details after later on in this permission to use a private road as a construction site access road, because of the 2 kilometers of the access road to this site actually is a private road. And the project dependency, it highly depends on underground water quality is suitable for agricultural purposes. We don't really have any a knowledge or something that we know in before that the underground is underground water is suited for irrigation systems. At the same time, we don't really know too if it's not suited for agricultural purposes. And another point also is the right to drill water wells from the environment and the sustainability. The place that we're going to build, to construct this irrigation system is on top of underground river systems. This underground river systems was documented a while back in 1945 by the French during the colonization times by the French, and there is a river under that ground. So we have to be very spot on all of the right to build from the environmental department and sustainability. So it highly depends on that. We might have not have any permission to drill or whatever, but we will find that after the consultation. And we also have to have the right to build a document from the Council of Manambaru, the place, the council where we are at is called Manambaru. Okay, the project assumption. The underground river system is large enough to provide water need for the project to commence. We don't know how large it is, but it's just documented by during the colonization time that there is a large river there, but we don't know how large. So that way we put that as a project assumption. And also the construction materials need, as I mentioned in the previous, all the construction material need are available locally, and local builders and technical ability to design, plan, and build the project. I'm going to talk to you in this section about the stakeholders. We divide it in two different types. The internal stakeholders, which is us, the employee. At this point of time, is 5 of us. Well, become 5 now. 4 back in Madagascar, and myself here. I don't do much, but so the employee and the managers, and the external stakeholder will be the suppliers, all the building material suppliers, and the community around the plantation zone, the contractors and local government, banks and the private lenders, and the environmental authority. And now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the internal stakeholder, which is us. This irrigation systems project, the construction zone will be right inside the plantation zone. So the full-time and the part-time employee daily task will be directly affected by the irrigation systems, system installation, and the requirement will be put in the great consideration of the implementation of this project. And the managers, this project is part of the Vanilla Plantation project and the Madagascar operation arm, and is one of the biggest infrastructure needed in order to fulfill our commitment to the customer product requirement. So, so for the Madagascar operation managers and the plantation manager are the people in the center of this project. and their input has to be their input is crucial for the success um, of the every single aspect of this irrigation project. So now I'm explain to you the external stakeholders, which is the supplies. Of course, this is a cement work, so the material that we use will be sand, rocks, gravel, and cement, steel, irrigation pumps, and valve, and electric water pumps, and electric hardware, and all of that. So the sand, rocks, and gravel supplies. We might have to look at their product range and supply capability and delivery method, and of course their cost as well. And also we have to look at the irrigation materials and irrigation material supplies, their supply capability, delivery method, and cost, and we have to look at if they can offer us the installation service of the electrical water pumps and pipelines and valve and to meet our specification. On top of that, we also have to check if they can consult on the pipeline design. The next one will be steel rod supplies. Yeah, we have to look at the supply capability as well, delivery method and cost, and the electrical hardware, the supply capability, delivery method, and cost. And yeah, and the surrounding community. This is another stakeholders that we have to, possibly one of the quite really serious one. There are 3 villages around the area where this project will take place. So the increased vehicle circulation will impact this community. So it will increase the noise, dust, and safety of the community during the construction times. So, and also the maximum load capacity on the roads and road speed limit of the vehicle to use the community road has to be respected at all time. So the community right will take into consideration during the construction times. Another one is this is a private road that I talked a little bit earlier. The 2 kilometers of the access road of the property is a private road. This road is belong to Tomasina Airport and managed by a company called ASECNA. And the permission to use this road will play important role for the important role to the project to succeed, especially the cost and the ease of the access, because of the alternative road can add up nearly 30 kilometers around trip. So that time and cost will be questioned on that. So if we get the permission to use this 2 kilometers road, and that will have an impact to the cost and the time. So that's also, we have to take that into consideration, and the negotiation with the ASECNA and the airport of Tomasina will be inevitable for us to do that. And the third point will be another serious one as well, is one of our pipeline will pass very close to the cemetery of the adjacent village. A cemetery is one of the most respected traditional place for the people in Madagascar. Failing to comply with the community tradition and the requirement will create quite really serious unrest and could lead to personal safety problems, as I put in mind that Madagascar is not really one of the advanced country in that sort of stuff. So when people are wound up, the violence is still only the way that they can solve the problem. So we are really aware of that. So make sure that we respect all of those villages' rules and cultures and taboos and all of that. So it has to take into consideration. So the consultation to meeting with the community elders and complying with the cemetery requirement will avoid the negative stakeholder impact. And the contractors that will be composed, this is another this is another stakeholders, the contractors, which is composed by the builders, of course, ground workers, and land surveyors, and transport delivery personnel, and electrical installation personnel. And another stakeholders that I mentioned before is local government. The local government at the district level, the Council of Man and Baron National 2 district has to provide the appropriate special permission and license to build before we can commence on construction. So, and also the Department of the Environment also has to deliver special requirement license, since the construction zone is on top of the underground river systems and the creek, and the creek system who feed the community rice field on the lower land area. So the guideline for those two levels of government has to be considered before implementation. Bank and lenders, as I mentioned before, we need only 50% of this fund. We already have our own money for the 50% of the irrigation system. So to get the 50% from the bank is crucial and has to be taken into consideration. Now I'm going to give you the estimated cost. We subdivide, as this is as an initial statement, we subdivide as internal labor, external labor, and cement, and groundwork, and water pumps, and water valve, and steel rod, and formworks, and plumbing cost, and sprinklers, and council rate, and the licenses. So all the total of that is around 60,000 Australian dollars at Madagascar construction market cost. And the estimated project milestone, we subdivide it as first step will be the licensing and get all of the requirement, license and permission, and the consultation completed and documented. And the next section is all deliverable planning and designing completed. That's a plus documentation. All groundwork completed. That includes the pipeline, trench, and tanks, tank emplacement position groundwork, and tank construction, water wells construction, and all pipeline and water valve design and installation completed. Pump house construction design completed, all electrical installation completed, pump installation completed, test run and related certification completed, project completed, and presentation and demonstration. And at that point also staff member has to be trained on how the system works, and all the process documented and completed. So that will be somewhere done 31st of December 2019. So that is the end there. So the conclusion then, we believe that the outcome of this irrigation project will help our organization to respond to our customer need and cover the reason behind our choice to install irrigation systems. All deliverables are supporting the project goals, which is to be able to irrigate the plantation during the drought time, reduce the chance of any disease or infection, as well as increase the production efficiency. As I mentioned before, is around 30%. That's quite good efficiency that we can get, and reduce the maintenance cost and increase the vanilla production quality. It's reducing the maintenance cost because of when you got an irrigation, the Tito tree is have a better chance to survive, and also the vine have a better chance to survive. So the replacement work is reduced, and mulching work also much easier. And so of course that will increase the quality of the products. And the last section here will be the reference. I took only the reference about Harvey and Zobben. Thank you very much for listening. I think that it will be the end. Thank you. Voila.